Today we are going to discuss units 5 and 7, that is market segmentation and marketing research and its applications. Depending on the age groups or depending on the income level or sometimes depending on the gender also, the needs and requirements of the customers may vary. That is, the needs and requirements of the children may be different, the needs and requirements of the youth may be different, the needs and requirements of the elderly persons may be different, the needs and requirements of higher income level customers may be different, of middle income group customers may be different, and lower income group customers may be different. The needs and requirements of gents may be different and ladies may be different. Market segmentation will help the organization to identify the needs and requirements of these different types of customers and meet them, satisfy them. Then only the organization can run successfully. In segmenting the market, the marketing research will help the organization. Marketing research will also help the organization not only in segmenting the market, but also in understanding, in analyzing the consumer behavior. Marketing research will also help the organization before launching any new product, actually to study the pulse of the customers and also to make further improvements in the existing products. First of all, let me introduce the resource persons. Professor Venkaya, he is Executive Director.
Good morning, viewers.
Yeah, he is Professor Venkaya, he is Executive Director of Professor G. Ram Reddy Research Academy of Distance Education of our university, and he is a professor in the Department of Business Management also. And next to him is Mr. G. S. Narsingarao. Mr. Narsingarao, he is a Principal Consultant of Supra Business Solutions of Hyderabad. Mr. Rao, will you please explain first of all what is market segmentation and what is the necessity of segmenting the market?
Yes. Let me first start with the market itself.
Yeah.
We all have different kind of connotations when it comes to understanding the market. Some of us mention market as stock market, some of us mention the market as domestic market, some of us mention the market as an international market, and for some plainly market could mean demand for a particular product. Now, let me give you an example. Someone may say that what is the market for the angular toothbrushes? Now, what exactly he means is that what is the size of the market, what is the market potential for that kind of a product. For the sake of discussions today, when we are talking about market segmentation, I would like to define market as basically a group of consumers who have the purchasing power to own a particular product and also the willingness to spend that kind of money to buy that particular product. So, we are talking about market for a product. We are not talking in terms of a general market, we are talking about market for a product to buy which the consumer has the purchasing power and also the willingness to power. Now, if we define market in such a manner for a particular product, we can straight away see that the market will be very huge, and the market will be so huge that it will be very difficult for a company to apply all their resources to exploit that particular market. Many a times it may be actually beyond the resources of these kind of market, number one. Number two, the market that we are talking like this will be very, very heterogeneous. There will be n number of people with n number of requirements, and you really cannot have a marketing program to address these kind of customers.
Different types of customers.
That's right. So, what actually you do is you try and break the total market in terms of subgroups, where a marketer will have, on the basis of some functions of the product, he will have some kind of a competitive edge in the market. So, what we are talking about is that there are going to be certain functions of the product based on which your market segment can be created. The other thing is, even in the small subgroups that we are talking about, there has to be some kind of commonality of the needs, and the needs and wants of most of the buyers in this kind of a segment have to be more or less identical, at least on the major attributes of the product. It cannot be on all the attributes, but on the major attributes of the product. So, the necessity essentially is in terms of targeting your resources in the most efficient manner so that the results are optimum and we don't waste our resources.
Yeah. So, would you like to add anything, Professor Venkaya?
In fact, market segmentation is marketing concept and philosophy in action. In other words, the practice of marketing concept leads to market segmentation strategy. Today, marketers try to vie with their competitors with the help of two important strategies. One is market segmentation, other is product differentiation. Sometimes there is a misunderstanding that product differentiation is done for market segmentation. In a way, product differentiation helps segmenting the markets and adopting market segmentation strategy. Both of them are mutually not exclusive, they are inclusive. A market segmentation strategy may require product differentiation, and a difference in price and differential promotional strategies and also different channels to reach different customers could be the basis. But market segmentation precisely is marketing concept and philosophy practiced by the marketers to accomplish marketing goals.
So, are there any
Now-
specific models or approaches which the companies may use to segment the market?
As Narsingh Rao has put it, market segmentation is fragmenting or dividing the total heterogeneous market into homogeneous markets or subclasses where the customers' needs are identical, and for the identical target market needs, a separate marketing strategy is designed, including product being different from the products that are marketed for the other subclasses. Price variation may be built in by bringing in some changes in the different marketing parameters or marketing mix elements, that is product, price, place and promotion. Now, there are two approaches basically to evolve the market segmentation strategy. Number one is top-down approach. This is also known as logical division. This top-down approach refers to starting from the market. The total market is taken and then division of market is done, classifying the market into sub-units or subgroups and addressing a strategy. The second one is ordering. This refers to the evolving or establishing a market segmentation strategy starting from the individuals or groups of customers, and here the individual needs are the basis for the segmentation. This is how the two approaches of top down and bottom approach are practiced. Coming to the methods that the companies are putting to use these days include intuition and experience. With the longer years of experience in marketing, marketing managers will be able to decide that this is how we can evolve or establish a market segmentation strategy. It is based on intuition, one's own intuition and judgment. The second one is trial and error. There is no set pattern as such. There is no single scientific given methodology for market segmentation strategy. The second is trial and error. They try out and then improve upon, amend the strategy from time to time and so on. The third one is research on consumption systems, how the consumption pattern is in different sub-markets and in different market groups. Then evolving a market segmentation strategy is the third one. The fourth one, the most important perhaps, is consumers' perceptions, expectations and preferences, and consumers' personality traits, psychographic parameters or psychographic variables. And these are the four different methods used. Sometimes marketers use the first two, or they take in combination with the other methods, and they try out from time to time and keep changing the marketing strategy so as to match the market segmentation strategy to the requirements of the customers.
Any combination of these approaches or models
methods
can be used.
Normally, essentially it is always scientific to go for marketing research and design market segmentation strategy based on the findings of the marketing research and relating them, the marketing strategies for different market niches to the identified needs and preferences of the customers. In other words, matching products or brands to the customers' needs.
Will you please give
Which is
some
marketing
examples?
concept.
Will you please give some example how the organizations will segment the market?
At the retail outlet at the retail outlet end, I would like to take the example of Charmas, which is marketing ready-to-wear garments in Twin Cities. Take the example of Charmas. You have from premium range to the low-end market, different types of ready-to-wear garments for all ages, from children, kids to the older people, working people, the housewives, whoever, and then college going boys, girls, etc. So, for all ages, at all price ranges, and to suit the lifestyle needs of different categories of customers. That is lifestyles, upward mobile, very rural kind of people also they have, and then the kind of modern dressing materials, ready to wear garments they market. So, in a way Chalmers provides ready to wear garments to all segments of population and matching the lifestyles of different classes, working population and senior level executives, and then college going people and so on.
Different age groups, different income,
Different prices, yes,
different income
matching
levels.
to different income groups,
Yeah.
Fixing the prices suitable to different income levels.
Yeah. Would you like to give any other example, Mr. Rao, for how organizations will segment the market?
You see, an organization may, let's take the example of a television company, right. Now, they may have a 29 inches TV with very good sound system. They may have a 14-inch TV which is economically priced. They may have a 21-inch TV which is basically somewhere in between. Now, the segmentation, when you look at this, now when you are talking about the 14-inch TV, it could be possibly be the second set for a family, or it could be the first purchase by someone who is the lower income category. So, the product is same, but you are trying to address two different kind of segments. A 29 inches TV, perhaps this is also a second TV for many families who are graduating from 21 inches to 29 inches, but the fact that it comes with lot of additional benefits in terms of playing different kind of programs which are either on NTSC or CCAM or PAL system. So, you are talking about multi-system kind of a TV. You are talking about huge sound amplifiers which are built into it. Now, who is the customer for this kind of a TV? The customer for this kind of a TV could be someone who has a large place where it can be kept, because there is a minimum distance that is recommended for the viewing. If you want to really enjoy the sound of that particular TV sound output, you need to again have that kind of a place. And who will have this kind of a place? People who are in the upper strata of the society. So, you look at the products that you have and you target particular kind of markets. So, that is the example which comes to my mind in terms of explaining the segmentation.
Yeah, while explain, please.
Maybe I would cite the example of Indian Railways. Take for example the seat fare. Now AC first class, AC second class, AC third class, sleeper class 3 tier, and then ordinary class. This is how the tariff is matched to the income levels of different people, and also the facilities provided were also matched to the kind of income, the price that is charged to the customers.
Yeah. So, Mr. Rao, while explaining the concept of marketing research, Professor Venkaya mentioned about product differentiation and the market segmentation. Will you please throw some light on this product differentiation and market segmentation? What is the relationship between these two?
Yeah, the product segmentation is more to do with offering a range of products meant for the same kind of segment in most of the cases. Now, I have given you the example of a 14-inch TV for a lower middle class kind of a family. Now this 14-inch TV can come with stereophonic sound, right, or it can come with the adaptability to play different kind of systems through the VCR on that. So now it can come with single speaker, it can come with 2 speakers. Now what happens is the segment is same which we are trying to target, but the features that we are giving to different products are different. Similarly, there can be different kind of products where the color could be a differentiating factor as far as the product is concerned. Let me explain this with the help of this particular
please.
chart. See, offering a variety in products on the basis of size, features, quality, etc. is what is the product differentiation. So we are talking about the same market segment, but when we are talking about market segments, we are talking about the different kind of functions that the product is going to perform for different kind of segments. So in product differentiation, the focus is on the product itself and not on the different market segments. So that's the kind of distinction which I would make between a product differentiation and a market segmentation.
Professor Venkaya, what are the advantages the organization may get by segmenting the market, and also I think the customers may also get certain advantages. Will you please throw some light on this aspect?
Yes, it is advantages to both company as well as customers. To start with customers' benefits, it is matching to the requirements of the individual needs, and in a way everybody will have the preference to choose a product or a brand of his own choice or her own choice. And also for customers, the beneficial is the products are flanked through different brands marketed by the company, and each brand is addressed to a particular segment. You take for example the example of a soap, toilet soap range. You have very premium kind of soap with a tariff of 30 plus rupees, and also available for 5 rupees. In between there are different ranges. We have a toilet soap for 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 15 rupees, 25 rupees, 35 rupees. This is how from 5 rupees to 35 rupees you have a range. This is how the benefit is there to a customer to choose, and also value for money at different levels. That is from customer's point of view. Second is essentially market segmentation helps the marketers to select the identified market niches. So identifying the market niches to exploit the market to the fullest potential is the first advantage. The second advantage is what Michael Porter called the focus as a strategy. The focus is that the focus is possible through marketing strategy to address to a particular target market. So the focus is possible. The third important advantage is that the loyalty of the consumers is possible through market segmentation. So consumer loyalty towards the brand, towards and to develop patronage and to have A-to-A relationship with the company. That is the important thing. Another thing is it helps in combating the competitive situation. To withstand competition, normally as I said, marketers follow market segmentation strategy. As and when a competitor changes the market segmentation strategy for his product, there is a need on the part of the company to adjust the market segmentation strategy suitable to or to retaliate the competitive strategy. This is possible by making a change in the marketing strategy in terms of the different controllable marketing variables, the popular so called marketing mix variables, product, price, place and promotion. This is how and also it helps in increasing the market share. This is how the market segmentation is helpful to
both the organization and also to the customers.
Yes.
I'd like to add a couple of things to this. See, as Professor Venkaya has mentioned, you are able to focus better on a particular target segment if it is smaller than the huge market that you are talking about. And with the help of that particular focus, what you are able to do is you design a marketing program which is better suited to that kind of a market segment. The net result of this is, as he has already said, one is a better penetration of the market and better capturing of the share of the market, but also the fact that you are able to do that at the minimum resources that are going to be committed to that. I think that's one of the very major advantages of market segmentation. That's right.
So, Mr. Rao, will you please throw some light on how to segment the market in the case of services? Of course, Professor Venkaya already has given an example of railways, that how they are segmenting. Will you please throw some more light, because normally all the customers may want better services as far as the services are concerned. So
that's right. Now, for all practical purposes, we actually need not make any differentiation between a product and the service. Whatever is true for the product is also true for the service. Now, let me give you an example of a restaurant, right? A restaurant could be a purely vegetarian restaurant or something else. That's the segmentation. Now, when you look at the restaurant which is a purely vegetarian restaurant, it definitely is a cue for those people who are very, very finicky about their choice of what kind of food they have, vegetarian or non-vegetarian. So, that's one kind of segmentation which you have. The other segmentation could be a hospital, right? Now, Tata Memorial Hospital, Cancer Hospital, which is there in Mumbai, it specializes in for the cancer patients. Similarly, there can be another hospital, like in Pune you have a hospital called Sancheti, which is predominantly a hospital which caters to all the orthopedic requirements. So, that's another kind of segmentation. Or if you are talking about telephony, right, you can be in mobile telephony or you can be on the landline telephony. So, these are all services which have different kind of segmentation. Now, it depends on what exactly is the target that you are trying to cater to, right. Now, even in vegetarian food, it could be Chinese food, it could be North Indian food, it could be South Indian food. So, you can have so many subclasses. Or in courier service, for example, someone may be doing a courier service job only in Hyderabad, Secunderabad. It is a local courier. Someone else could be doing that job in all over the country, which is India, and it's a domestic courier service. And someone like DHL, who is in the international market. So, you see, even for service, these segmentations are there, these segmentations are possible, and it would depend on the resources that the company commands, right, which would indicate, which would tell him that what kind of segment that he should be catering to, so that the rewards are best and his efforts are optimum.
So, Professor Venkaya, how to select a segment, particularly, and is there any base for the selection of segmentation, particularly with reference to the consumer markets?
Yes.
Because the market for industrial products may be limited, so whereas the market for consumer durables is very wide.
Segmentation is important both for consumer products,
and also
in consumer products again consumer softs and consumer white goods, consumer durables, and it is also important for industrial products. But the importance is much more in the case of consumer products. For consumer products, normally there are 4 important bases. Number 1 is geographic factors or geographic basis. Number 2 is demographic basis, demographic factors. Number 3 is psychographic factors, and the 4th one is behavioral. And these are the important bases on which the marketer segments the market. In geographical factors, normally the bases are based on the region. Take for example an international marketer. The international marketer views geographically Europe, Africa, Asia, like this, the region specific marketing strategy. And also the density of the population, urban and rural, sometimes urban, semi-urban and rural. And the climatic, the cold countries and not that very cold and non-cold countries, like that, the climate, tropical countries. This is how we divide the markets based on geographic basis. Coming to demographic, age and life cycle, education, occupation, gender, lifestyle, and other nationality, income. These are the basis for demographic factors which are taken as the basis for segmenting the market. Here income, age, gender, occupation, education, etc. Psychographic, this refers to the social class, lifestyle and personality. You know, every society is made up of sub classes or sub social groups, and the psychographic variables include social class, because the needs of a particular social class are different from that of another social class. That will be the basis, and the identical needs are addressed by addressing a separate product and separate marketing strategy variables. Lifestyle, personality, etc. And then behavioral, we have occasions, special occasions for example, routine occasions, and also the behavioral include the benefits, usage rate and user status. These are all the factors. For example, the behavior of a company's chief executive is different from a junior executive, from a secretarial assistant. This is how the behavior of different groups will be taken into account, because the needs of different classes of people and different behavioral patterns will determine the needs and also the kind of products that are brands they look at. Yeah. These are the 4 important bases for segmenting the market.
Yeah, Mr. Rao. Professor Venkaya explained that different factors will influence the organization for segmenting. Actually, you are acting as a consultant for a number of organizations. How actually, what are the suggestions you are offering, or how the organizations for which you are acting as consultant, they are segmenting their market?
Okay. Now, let me give you an example of a company which is in the food business. To be more specific, it's in the business of pickles. Right. Now, the company has no problem in terms of its capacity, right? But marketing wise, they've had a problem. But in terms of capacity also, for something which is a regional flavor, right? What we call in Andhra avakai, right? Now you have a market which is predominantly in Andhra Pradesh and very small market which is outside the state. But since capacity is not the use, if we looked at another segment, say Punjabi pickles for example, and if you are able to make that and cater to that particular market, you are talking about capturing another kind of market segment. It could be something to do with the way Maharashtrian person possibly likes his pickle, right? There are some kind of differences between these pickles from one market to another market. Now, what has been done in such cases has been able, what we have been able to do is to look at the consumers there, try to understand what are their needs in terms of what is the chili content, what is the pungent requirement and things like this. And we have selected what could be the most important attributes of that particular product for that particular segment. And then we started actually manufacturing those in the production facilities which we have, where very little adjustment needed to be done to cater to the other market. So this way, earlier I had given you the example of the television company, yes, right? So these are some of the examples which basically indicate that you can do the market segmentation to a major advantage for the company.
Yeah, Professor Venkaya. Will you please give certain tips for effective market segmentation, how to segment the market effectively?
Effective market segmentation is possible only when market strategy is designed suitably, and also there are some requirements for effective market segmentation. Unless these requirements are fulfilled, effective market segmentation is not possible. These requirements are, for example, the first one is measurable, and the second one is substantial, third one is accessible, and the fourth one is differentiable, and fifth one is actionable. See, effective segmentation means that the segment should bring sales to the company, should bring marketing image to the company, should bring success to the brand addressed to that segment, and ultimately it must also bring profit to the company. And the benefits now I mentioned in terms of the marketing goal could be possible only when all these 5 requirements are fulfilled. These are also called prerequisites for effective market segmentation. Then what is that? A segment must be measurable in terms of what amount of sales would take place, measurable, and what amount of revenue do we earn on this particular segment, and measurability. Second is substantial. Here the economics of the segment must be favorable to the company. Economics here refers to unless there are economies of scale operated for that particular marketing strategy addressed to a particular segment, again diseconomies associate, and then the company may not be able to gain profit.
The cost benefit.
The cost benefit analysis, and hence it must be the size must be attractive, must be feasible. The third one is accessible. Accessible here refers to the company's existing marketing network must be put to use. Optimum utilization of the existing marketing network to capture a new market niche and to go to the roots of the new market units, and that is accessibility. The making use of the existing marketing infrastructure in terms of the channel members, in terms of the other infrastructural facilities, etc. And the differentiable, that is every market segment should be different from the other market segment of the same company. See, the strategy, the market segmentation strategy should be differentiable from the other segments. Unless there is a difference between one segment and the other, there is no point to look at a different strategy to be used for capturing a new market or to expand the existing market. And the last one is actionable in terms of that the segment must be divided into different actionable steps, and the plan should be prepared, and the market should be able to, marketer should be able to evolve actionable plan to observe the marketing strategy to which is addressed to a particular market segment.
Market segmentation.
This is how effective segmentation is
possible when we follow certain principles,
when these requirements are fulfilled. Unless it is accessible through marketing network, the cost will be high. Unless it is substantial, the economies will not be, the overheads will be more, and then the cost will be more, where the profit margins will come down. And unless it is measurable and feasible, there is no point in increasing the number of segments and the strategies for different segments.
All these are interlinked also.
Interlinked, yes.
Yeah, let us switch over to the next unit, that is marketing research and its applications. So, Mr. Rao, will you please explain what is meant by marketing research at all?
Well, a manager in course of discharging his role, he has to take a number of decisions, and to take decisions which are good decisions, which are profitable decisions for the organization, he has to depend on a lot of information. And if you don't have that kind of an information, then the decision making process will not be very good, and the decisions will possibly be poor also in quality. To improve this, basically you depend on a lot of information which you need to collect from time to time. Now, fortunately, in case of your requirement for production or finance or personnel, most of the information lies within the organization and it's easy to pick them up. But when it comes to marketing, we know that all the factors which are related to marketing, or most of the factors which are related to marketing, are outside the company. And to get this kind of information from these kind of sources is a little difficult. But unless you do take that kind of information and build your decision system on that, you are not likely to take good decisions. So, all that information which we collect, which we record, which we analyze, which are related to the marketing activities, marketing parameters such as product, price, advertising, and things like this. That is what is called the marketing research. Let me also
Yeah,
give a
please.
very formal
Definition.
It says that it is the systematic gathering, recording, and analyzing of information, data related to marketing of goods and services.
Service.
Now, a manager needs to collect all this information to make sure that his decisions are carrying as less risk as possible. That is the idea of marketing research.
Would you like to add anything? The basic purpose of marketing research, Professor Venkaya.
Yes, the purpose of marketing research is essentially threefold. Number one is it facilitates decision making. Number two is it reduces the risk and uncertainty. Number three is it helps identifying the marketing opportunities. This is how there are three important purposes. Number one is it facilitates decision making. Marketers need to take decisions, routine decisions, strategic decisions, and decisions sometimes under crisis where they are helpless because of the marketing environment which is not controllable and so on. For this purpose, for taking accurate decisions, always there is a need to conduct marketing research and get accurate information from the market.
Accurate and also timely.
Accurate, timely,
Timely.
and right kind of
Right
information. It is information that is required, not the data. And as the definition is giving an important this thing, it facilitates decision making. Data will be converted into information. Information is supplied to the decision makers. Decision making is done based on the situation. And this is important. Accurate decision, right kind of decision at right time is possible through marketing research. That is one. Second is it reduces risk and uncertainty, because always market is very sensitive. Market is vulnerable, and no marketing strategy is static. Marketing strategy should be dynamic, because the marketing environment keep changing from time to time, and it is very difficult to predict the kind of changes that come about in the marketing environment, and hence there is a need to watch the market. The company has to guard itself from different changes that might be coming about, and hence there is a need for constant feedback, constant marketing intelligence system, marketing decision support system, and marketing information system is the crucial factor that determines the decision making, and it helps reducing the uncertainty and risk in the marketing decision making process. The third important is, for example, I may take the example, Food Specialities of India Limited conducted research to find out how their products are doing in the market. Ultimately, they came out with Everyday, the dairy whitener. How they came to know? In the conduct of research, they came to know that the customers need a particular product, that is dairy whitener, particularly in the office tea clubs and faculty clubs, that they prepare coffee and tea instantly without depending on a canteen or a cafeteria. And for this purpose, there is a need to have dairy whitener, and it is through research which is conducted for feedback on their existing products that they came to know that there is a product called Everyday, that there is a dairy whitener requirement, and they introduced in the product line another one that is called Everyday. This is how the new marketing opportunities and new product ideas come from marketing research. These are the three important purposes that marketing research serves.
Mr. Rao, is there any procedure to be followed? That is, this is how the marketing research should be conducted.
Yeah, there are very set patterns for this, and let me explain to you with this chart. The first and foremost of this of these steps is the problem definition itself. The other things are what kind of a research plan that we have, what kind of a field work is required to collect the kind of information that we are looking for, and what do you do with this data that we collect, how do you convert into information, how do you convert into a knowledge to take certain kind of actions, and finally presenting the whole conclusion as a part of the report, right. Now, these are a few of the steps which one would take in terms of conducting a market research program.
Yeah, will you
Let
please
me tell you-
explain
let me tell you a little more about the problem definition. Now, I as a marketing manager of a company may suddenly feel that my market share in Hyderabad is going down. I would like, and that is based on the sales patterns that I am looking at, the sales this year September month, sales last year September month, sales year before last September month. So, I know something is happening to this particular trend. Now, one of the ways I can do a research is to say the researchers that my sale is going down, please let me know why. So, that is a very general and vague kind of a statement. Instead, if I am in a position to say that my market share has gone down from 20% to 13%, and this is very alarming. So, as a first step, let me know how it can be brought back to 20%, and from there how it can be increased to 25%. Now, unless you have a clarity of the objective in that particular manner, a research cannot be conducted, because at the end of it, what you will feel that your problem is something else, what you have been able to get from the market is little different, because there was no clarity, there was no focus as far as the objective of that particular research is concerned. So, the objective needs to be clearly defined right in the beginning, it should be to the point, and it should be specific, and as far as possible it should be quantifiable. Then only we will get good kind of results from such a
Professor
result.
Venkaya, will you please explain the second point, the second stage, that is research design?
Yeah. You see, research design is, in other words, the methodology followed by a marketer to conduct marketing research. The methodology refers to
Hello.
Hello, excuse me, here is a call. Hello,
Hello. Good morning.
good morning.
I'm student of MBA.
Okay,
I have one question with me.
please.
What are the techniques of conducting marketing research?
Yeah, please. So, what are the, Professor Venkaya, what are the techniques of conducting marketing research?
there are different methods of conducting research, and number one is problem solving research, and it is decision oriented research. Another is descriptive research or exploratory research. This is how different types of research is there, and what type of research we choose depends on the purpose you want to conduct the research study. That is one. Coming to the techniques, it is, there are two methods, whether it is possible to conduct a census method of conducting research, or is it necessary for conducting a sample study, where the respondents number is limited, where the expenditure involved in conducting a census study is limited. Companies do conduct research considering the whole of universe, that is what in research jargon called the population or the universe, and it is possible only when there are a few, the universe consists of a few sample units, where it involves huge population. Population here refers to the universe consisting of too many sample units, too many units, then sampling is essential. And there are different sampling techniques also, but sampling, one care should be taken to see that the sample selected is representative. It means that the number of respondents selected for the study, which we mean sample, it should be representative, means the characteristics of the universe should be reflected in all respects in the sample selected. How do we select the sample depends on the characteristics of or salient features of the whole universe, and sometimes the sample may have to be taken from different groups, and respondents will be selected based on the different groups involved in the total marketing task. For example, you have to conduct a survey and undertake a marketing research. Now, the possible groups whom we have to interact in terms of the information and data we have to collect include the existing consumers, the prospective and potential consumers, our own company channel members, and the dealers who are dealing with the retailing task at the end of the market. This is how the questionnaires have to be designed for different groups involved in the total marketing process. I think this is
the
answer.
different techniques.
Yeah.
I have a small question to Mr. Rao. Suppose just now we discussed that the marketing, there should be some objective for conducting marketing research. Suppose the marketing research has not given us the desired result, then what the organization should do?
What I said, you have to have some kind of an objective.
Yeah.
What I meant was the objective should be very clear and to the point. Then only you start properly as far as the research is concerned. But if the research has not given the right kind of results, right? Now it could be on account of many things. It could be on account of your objectives not being very clear. It could also mean that the research instrument that you have chosen, maybe it's a focus group discussion which is verbal, recorded on a tape recorder or something, or you have possibly administered a set of questionnaires to people. So there could be a problem with the selection of these kind of instruments. There could also be a problem with the kind of sample that you have selected. Maybe the sample size is not adequate. Maybe the composition of the sample is not very representative. And at the end of it, whatever you have been able to get as data or information from the market, if the analysis is also not proper, you still have a problem. So if your results have not been good, then you could possibly go back to any of these steps to check where is actually the problem. If most of these things are done accurately, precisely, then there is a very little chance that your results are not going to be accurate. So you need to get into the whole sequence of events.
Yeah, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, the results utility and accuracy depends on the method of conducting research. Here the research should be conducted in a very scientific way is taken for acceptance. But what is important is that the research should be free from both sampling errors and non-sampling errors. Sampling errors would arise because of lack of systematic approach in the selection of sample, in the selection of respondents. If the selection is not correct, the results will not be accurate. This is one aspect, sampling side. And if non-sampling is because of the errors that take place during the collection of data and during the analysis and interpretation of data. These non-sampling errors take place because of the bias of the interviewer, because of lack of adequate knowledge on the part of the interviewee, because of distortion in the communication and recording of the data or information from the interviewee by the interviewer, or because of the analysis being not done in a very scientific manner, tabulation, classifying, and then processing of data and establishing relationships among variables and so on, and also inferences being drawn by the researcher. Non-sampling errors might take place any stage, at any stage in the stages I explained. And if non-sampling errors take place because of these factors, again the accuracy of the findings will have to be questioned. So the effectiveness and the usefulness, in other words the accuracy of the findings, depend on how scientific you conducted research, how you could see that both sampling and non-sampling errors did not take place in the conduct of study.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd like to add a couple of things to what Professor Venkaya has already said. And you usually take care of these kind of problems by testing the research proposal right in the beginning. Just like you have test marketing, you also have the testing for the research. So what you do is you actually administer the whole thing on a much smaller sample, try and understand whether the communication that you are making through the questionnaire or the verbal questions and things like this, they mean to the respondent in the same manner that you are trying to ask for. You take care of any problems in the sample representation which is there and things like this, and only after that you go for a major research activity.
Yeah.
So you
Professor
do
Vaidya,
test it.
Yeah, will you please explain the second step in this
yeah.
procedure for marketing research,
the-
research design brief?
The research design, you see there are different aspects mentioned in the chart. Research design, in other words, is the methodology that a researcher follows in the conduct of research. For that purpose, there are some steps given in designing the research method. The first is data collection methods. Data collection, first we have to question whether the primary data is required or will the secondary data be enough to us to take a decision. And if secondary data is enough, sometimes it is available within the company in the form of different records or reports received from the territory managers of the company, territory sales managers of the company. And if secondary data is not adequate, primary data, then from whom we should collect, who are going to be our respondents, what are the contents of that information that we need, etc., has to be decided. And again, in the data collection methods, is it through interview method by conducting a survey, or is it by observation, or is it by mail survey? This is how data collection could be done, by sending out a mail to the respondents and getting back the filled in questionnaires or research instrument. And second is by observation and by interview methods. These are the three different methods of collecting primary data. And the next one is research instruments. Research instruments, as I said, whom we should interact for the information. In this case, as just now I mentioned, existing consumers, potential and prospective consumers, our channel members, and so on, even company salespersons, etc. Then for each group we have to design a particular research instrument. It is popularly called the questionnaire. And again, structured, unstructured, etc., which are already described in a very clear manner in the course material given to our students. And this research instrument design is very, very important, and the characteristics of research instruments could be seen in the questionnaire given, which was used for mineral water in the marketing research unit of the course material. The research instrument, the questionnaires given there for potential customers, for the existing customers, and so on, are available. A very comprehensive questionnaire with all the important features being fulfilled in the questionnaire could be observed by our student friends from the questionnaire given at the end of the marketing research unit. And the nature of responses, this is self-explanatory. The more important is sampling plan. Nature of responses, you know. And then sampling plan, this is again, as I said, random sampling or probable sampling and non-probable sampling, and again different types of sampling techniques available, as I mentioned just now, and different types of sampling techniques to be used, probable and non-probable essentially. Here I may define probability means that every unit in the universe will have equal chance of becoming a member in the study, is called probability. Non-probability is that the probability is not equal, that every member of the universe becoming a member of the study may not be possible, and hence it is non-probable broadly. And at the end, the cost of the research, this is what is called budgeting. How much do we spend on this research project, and will the cost commensurate with the research outcome? That is, always research is done for a purpose. The purpose is oriented in terms of the benefit, and always there is a need to make a comparison between the cost involved and the research outcome. and the utility of the research outcome for the decision making or to solve a particular marketing problem. I think these are the different aspects related to research design.
Okay.
Research design is nothing but a systematic plan as to how you go about conducting research for a particular purpose for which you have set the objectives already.